It's that time of year again. Flu season! Statistically speaking, you're probably sick. So let me be the first to say, stay inside. But while you're staying inside and focusing on getting better, maybe you're looking for something new to watch. Maybe you've already worked your way through all of the major movie releases this year and are looking for something you haven't seen yet. Well, allow me to recommend you 10 movies that came out in the year 2022 in the US, some of them are foreign and came out before, that I think haven't gotten enough attention. Now, I will warn you, some of the movies on this list can get pretty challenging, so if you have any content concerns, I would highly recommend you check a site like Does the Dog Die, just to be certain that something I've shown you here today is something you can do. Now, keep in mind this isn't a top 10 list. I'm not showing you the best movies of 2022. I'm not even going to promise you that they're all good. But they are all noteworthy. Maybe they have an interesting narrative quirk, or they're going for a unique style, just something interesting that makes them worth a watch. It's just 10 movies that had their American release in 2022, organized in the order in which I want to discuss them. Let's go!
Mission? For what?
We accidentally built the lunar module. A little too small.
How'd that happen?
Listen, are you good at math?
Yeah.
Did you get a perfect 100 on every test?
No.
Okay.
Apollo 10.5, A Space-Age Childhood. In 1969, a few weeks before the moon landing that everyone knows about, a young boy was selected to run a super-secret test trip to the moon, because NASA built the lunar module
a little too small.
Stanley, the main character and narrator, is noted to be a frequent liar with an active imagination, but I'm gonna take his word for it on this one. By juxtaposing the grand scale of the moon landing with Stanley's personal life down on Earth, you end up getting this beautiful and nuanced portrait of childhood in 1960s Houston. There are just so many wonderful little specifics. It's the kind of thing Richard Linklater's always been good at doing. Stuff like how the soda can tabs used to be rings that came all the way off, and they just ended up being littered everywhere only to cut up people's feet. Or how Stanley's dad would put those tabs back inside of beer cans before drinking, and Stanley's more worried that his dad's going to choke on one of the tabs than he is about his dad drinking and driving. That was so wild to me. There was a time when people would just drink and drive. And it's all presented so matter-of-fact that it's both wistfully nostalgic about the naivete of childhood and absolutely horrifying that this guy just tells his son to grab the wheel so he can drink. The rotoscoping really feels like a good way to capture the idiosyncrasies of movement while feeling like a Saturday morning cartoon. Linklater's made rotoscope movies before, but this one feels different. I understand that this was all rotoscoped by hand, and wow, that effort is all on screen. It's such an inventive and creative use of animation, and I'd love to see more films take advantage of rotoscoping like this in the future.
Mom, is that one a hippie?
Yeah, that's a hippie.
How about that one?
No, his hair's not long enough.
But he's wearing bell bottoms.
Okay, that's a hippie.
I think I like hippies.
I won't be ashamed. My sole purpose on this earth is to love Roxanne.
Does she know?
The world will never accept someone like me.
Cyrano. The story of Cyrano de Bergerac has been told and retold a million times over. Roxanne, The Truth About Cats and Dogs, Mary-Kate and Ashley's Holiday in the Sun, they all owe their roots to Cyrano. This version is based on the 2018 stage musical, which is in turn based on the 1897 Edmond Rostand play. Peter Dinklage is a phenomenal Cyrano. He's simultaneously the coolest guy in the room while also being deeply insecure. Really some excellent performances all around in this one. Haley Bennett and Kelvin Harrison Jr. both absolutely nail it, and do I need to tell you Ben Mendelsohn is good? I feel like that's obvious, but Ben Mendelsohn is very good here. It's also just great to see a big, ambitious musical. This version has music by Aaron and Bryce Dessner from The National, and a lot of it can get really inventive. Like, there's this one bit where they're singing during an army training exercise, and the percussion of the song is the wooden swords all hitting each other in rhythm, and I'm such a sucker for that kind of stuff. It's very creative, and it's an excellent adaptation of a well-told story.
I won't be rescued. I'm not in distress. Love, does that mean nothing to you?
In the next hour, you will make 200 cash, but you will have to do something illegal.
Emily the Criminal. Aubrey Plaza plays Emily, a woman deep in student loan debt who's been having trouble getting employed due to her criminal record. She works for a catering company as an independent contractor with no benefits or union to speak of. One of her co-workers recommends her as a dummy shopper for a mysterious enterprise that she very quickly learns is a credit card fraud ring. And it turns out that Emily is very, very good at this. Emily is such a deep and honest character, and Aubrey Plaza is doing some of her best work here. As Emily gets deeper into the fraud ring, you're thrown into this constant push-pull of, "Oh no, Emily, get out now!" And, wait, this may actually be a nicer arrangement than a normal job. This movie has a lot of opinions about late-stage capitalism, and it is happy to tell you all of them in a series of incredibly biting, disturbingly relatable scenes. It has a very clear-eyed perspective that really helps it avoid many of the tired cliches that movies like this can easily fall into. Every time I was afraid that this movie was going to make a boring decision, it made an interesting one instead, and it became all the better for it.
So if you had some money, what would you do?
I just want to be able to experience things.
Do you live around here? Because I live on aisle 6.
Oh, it's terrible.
Was kind of terrible.
Fresh. I don't know how to talk about Fresh. The marketing has been deliberately cagey about what happens, and letting it play out in real time feels like a large part of the fun. So I'll say this. Fresh has one of the most adept tonal shifts I've seen in a long time. The first 30 minutes are a completely different movie from the following 90, and I say that as a compliment. The writing, blocking, and editing are so deliberate that even though the shift is incredibly sudden, it still feels adequately foreshadowed. And even if you do guess the twist, and you probably did, from the title, the execution is just so impressive that it feels like a huge beat drop when it happens. Then, after the twist, you get a second movie of impeccably well acted and directed drama that makes every scene more tense than the last, but somehow never stops being a wild ride. There were multiple scenes where I found myself laughing, not because anything funny had happened, but because I was just feeling so many emotions that laughter was the only way I could really express myself. Like this dance scene. This dance scene rules. That's all I'm going to say about it, though. You've got to experience the rest of it for yourself.
What's going on?
I'm going to tell you, but you're going to freak out.
Alone, they could only dream of volcanoes. Together, they can reach them.
Fire of Love. I had never heard of Katya and Maurice Croft before I watched this movie, and now they have my utmost respect. They were volcanologists who worked through the 70s and 80s, and they clearly loved filming and photographing their time on the volcanoes. So much so that this movie is made up almost entirely of archival footage that they shot themselves. I don't know much about volcanology, but I can say that the footage they were able to get is spectacular. These are some of the most impressive shots of hot dirt that I've ever seen. This movie chronicles their time together right up through their deaths at the eruption of Mount Unzen, and it manages to tell an adorable love story while also driving home an important point. When the people who study volcanoes tell you to evacuate a city, you should evacuate that city. Listen to scientists. So many times in this movie you see the Crofts walking along the edge of a volcano or getting really close to the lava flow, and you tense up because you know that if they misjudge anything, it would spell immediate, irreversible disaster. And the Crofts are all too aware of this. They know the risks, but they also agree that it's worth it to study the volcanoes. It's the kind of movie you watch where your dad goes, "Woof, you'd never catch me doing that." And then you go, "Yeah, Dad, I know you wouldn't do that." And then he gets a little offended that you didn't believe in him for some reason. It's one of those movies.
From here on out, life will only be volcanoes, volcanoes, volcanoes.
Humans are capable of forming a connection and a bond to a robot.
Goodnight, Oppy. In 2006, NASA launched 2 rovers to study the surface of Mars. There was no way of knowing exactly how long they would last, but the mission would be considered a success if they lasted 90 Martian sols, or about 92.5 Earth days. They both lasted the entire mission. Then, they lasted another year. And then, they lasted another year. And then, they lasted another year. Ultimately, Spirit lasted 6 years, and Opportunity lasted 15. Goodnight, Oppy takes us through interview segments with people who worked on the program, as well as archival footage and artistic recreations of Opportunity's journey along the Martian surface. This movie is working overtime to get you to love these little rovers. They're constantly personifying them, comparing them to humans. They'll show close-ups on Oppy's cameras so that you can see just how much they look like eyes. And then they mention that the cameras are positioned at about the same height as the average human's eyes, so when you see the pictures, they are from a very human perspective. Here's the thing, though. It works. Yeah, it might feel a little too forced at times, but by and large, it really works. There's a moment where Opportunity gets stuck in the sand, and I found myself yelling, like, "Get her out of there! She's stuck! I don't care if we have to send a person to Mars just to pull her out of the sand. We've got to save her!" Even though all throughout the movie, you know exactly what they're doing. They're using every single heartstring pulling trick in the book, but it doesn't matter. By the end of the movie, Spirit and Opportunity may as well have been Johnny 5 and R2-D2. They are my best friends, and if you want to hurt them, you gotta go through me.
It's just a box of wires, right? But you end up with this cutish looking robot that has a face. Oh, it's alive!
Hatching. Tinya is a young woman whose entire life has been dictated by her mother's wishes. But one day, after a series of terrible incidents involving a crow, Tinya finds an egg that begins to rapidly grow before it hatches into a monster that takes on all of her repressed angry impulses. The trailers have not shown the monster, so I'm not going to do it here either, but I will say that its first stage is a genuinely impressive puppet, and I love a good puppet. More puppets, please. Now, this movie is gross and deeply unsettling. You gotta prepare yourself for this one, and I definitely can't recommend it to everyone. Remember when I said that thing about checking does the dog die? I just want to remind you about that. This one maybe more than the others. It's a body horror movie with multiple dead animals, and if any part of that sentence sounds like something you can't do, then this one is not for you. However, if that's something you can do, then this is an exceptionally well executed and incredibly disturbing film with a lot on its mind. And it's a very ambitious feature debut for director Hannah Bergholm. I'm very excited to see where she goes next.
Hey Mom. Hey Dad. We decided to make a video diary for you while you're away. So get well soon, please, because we don't like being alone.
He's watching. You know how sometimes in found footage movies there will be a miraculous shot that none of the characters would or even could have actually gotten, and it just breaks the whole style? Well, He's Watching finds a way to make that a plot point. As the story unravels, all of the convenient shots that seem to come from a mysterious third party just get creepier and creepier as you start to realize who and what that third party is. and by the time the final act hits, you start to realize, oh wait, this isn't even a found footage movie anymore. At least not in the traditional sense. Your mileage may vary on how well it all comes together in the end, but there are so many interesting ideas and there's just so much creativity on display. It's definitely worth a watch if this is your kind of thing.
Art.
Maman, tu la faisais où ta cabane?
Dans les bois, juste derrière.
Petite Maman. Following the death of her grandmother, 8-year-old Nellie goes with her mom and dad as they clean out her mom's childhood home. Nellie goes for an adventure in the woods, where she finds another young girl building a fort out of sticks, and they quickly form a friendship. It isn't long before Nellie realizes, oh my god, this other girl is my mom from the past. Céline Sciamma, the writer-director of Portrait of a Lady...
What?
Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Céline Sciamma, the writer-director of Portrait of a Lady on Fire, once again shows that she is very good at making me feel emotions. This movie really understands all of the sadness and sweetness inherent to a kid's relationship with their parents. It's funny and silly and sweet and very melancholy. It's probably the most emotionally intelligent movie of the year. This is the kind of movie that keeps you smiling no matter how sad it gets. Like, there's a scene where Nellie and Marion are playing a little film noir with each other and they're both taking it so seriously. You just keep laughing at how dedicated to the game these girls are, and then you remember that they're going to say goodbye soon and how things are going to fundamentally change. But also that change is probably a good thing, because now Nellie can relate to her mother on a deeper level. You start to think about how, as you gain life experience, your relationships with the people you care about get more complicated. But they also get more rewarding. But they also get more complicated. And then the movie is over whether you're ready or not.
Tu viens m'aider? T'avais jamais vu avant. Je me suis fait une copine, je crois.
Fresh hot burgers, sexy burgers.
Lynn.
What? It's summer and sex sells, baby.
The Bob's Burgers movie. Okay, so I know you've almost certainly heard about this one, and it's probably pushing it to have a movie based on a well-known animated sitcom in this list, but I want to talk about it anyway because it's very good, and I still don't think enough people saw it. Bob's Burgers is one of my favorite TV shows. They manage to pull out a great story nearly every week. They've just about finished airing season 13, and there still isn't an ounce of seasonal rot or shark jumping to be found. It's full of great characters with specific motivations that are constantly getting into understandable conflicts with clear stakes. It's just genuinely good storytelling. And the best part about the movie is that it's all of that, but now in movie form. Like, everything that's good about the show is on display here, and it ends up feeling like one really good, extra ambitious episode. If you haven't seen the show, you don't have to in order to get the movie. In fact, I would recommend the movie as a really solid starting place. Like, give it a shot and see what you think.
That feels nice.
I know.
Don't rub my sesame seeds off.
I won't, don't worry.
They're a cute couple.
I give him a year.
Okay, so honest question, what did I miss? I tried to get a good variety of genres and styles in there, but there's honestly only so much you can put into one list. Plus, there's probably a bunch of stuff that came out this year that I haven't even heard of. Please tell me about those movies. Please put them in the comments. Why won't you tell me about the movies? Why are you hiding the movies from me? I haven't seen them. Tell me what they are so I can see them. Stop! Also, like and subscribe. I do monthly videos about obscure media and weird stuff I find, and if that sounds like your cup of tea, then it does genuinely help out if you subscribe to the channel and share the videos you like with your friends. Thanks, and I'll see you in 2023. Which it currently already is, but see you now!